Hello and welcome to the Violin Conspiracy Author Talk with Source Booksellers. And we are Source Booksellers in Detroit, Michigan. We are a nonfiction niche with wild sides of fiction and graphic novels. And what would another wild side be? I think those are mostly our wild sides. But today we are so excited to talk about the Violin Conspiracy. I'm going to introduce you to our author, Brendan Sulkin, and Cecilia Sharp, who he will be in conversation with. And so I'll give you a few little bios here. Let's start out with the author of The Violin Conspiracy. Brendan Sulkin was raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and holds a degree in music education with a concentration in violin and viola from University of North Carolina at Greensboro. For more than 20 years, he has been in public and private school education, a public and private school educator. As a violinist, Brendan has performed with orchestras in North Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and he has also been a guest conductor for district and regional orchestras. Brendan's a fitness buff who collects comic books and action figures in his spare time. He's currently working on his second novel, To Our Delight. Before I go on to Cecilia, I just want to do some housekeeping that I didn't do before. If you need closed captions, you'll see the CC in the bottom of your Zoom. And so you're going to turn those on so you can see them. The chat is going to be on, but you want to make sure that your questions go in the Q&A. So that's how the author and Cecilia will be able to see your questions. Okay, so let's go to Miss C. Sharp. She's a Detroit-based cellist and music teacher and radio host. She's an advocate for youth and the arts. She founded Urban Strings Youth Ensemble. They've even performed in our store. And she has been sharing her voice on WRCJ 90.9 FM, classical days and jazzy nights. You can tune in to hear her on her radio program, Live with C Sharp. She's also a freelance musician. So I will call them up. There we are. Let's see. If you are ready to start talking about the Violin Conspiracy, and I'm going to put the links in the chat. And in case you don't have your book already, I'm going to put the links in the chat and also a little bit of something about urban strings. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you to everyone who is tuning in. Brendan, welcome, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with us here this evening. Congratulations.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Congratulations on the big surprise. Good Morning America. The book is featured for February as their book of the month, their book on their book list. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
The book is The Violin Conspiracy, and it is definitely a compelling book that takes you on a roller coaster ride of emotions, a journey with the violinist Ray. And as soon as you're able to catch your breath, seconds later, you find yourself suspended again in the air as you thumb through the pages and read The Violin Conspiracy. It follows the journey of Ray, an African-American violinist, finding himself not only as a musician, but as a young man coming up in the classical world as a solo musician. And of course, there's the plot twist when his violin, an overlooked family heirloom, is discovered to be a Stradivarius violin, and it is somehow stolen. The book is, you will turn the page after page after page of this book until you get to the end and learn and grow with Ray in this book. So Brendan, what inspired you to write this great book, The Violin Conspiracy?
Well, first, thank you so much for the invitation to be here. I am honored to be speaking with you. And Violin Conspiracy came about through the events of 2020. So much happened in the summer of 2020. The events of George Floyd and COVID-19. And I was literally sitting in my living room, eating, getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And I was like, you know what? I got to do something. So I would go out and start exercising, and then I'd come back and I would write a little bit. These are stories that I've had in my head for a long time. And I just figured, with the events like what happened with George Floyd, it feels like a really good time for people to start getting a glimpse into what it's like to be a Black person in the United States. And the Violin Conspiracy was born 2 months later.
You're talking about what it's like to be a Black person in the United States. In this book specifically, whether you're a musician or not, you learn about the journey of a Black musician in the classical world. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like for people who may not know what it's like to be the minority in classical music?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, one staggering statistic that I discovered as I was doing my research, and it's really sad, and it makes me cringe every time I think about it. 1.8% of classical musicians are Black. 1.8%. All the symphonies in the world, 1.8%. And why is that? Is it because we are incapable? Absolutely not. We can play just as well as everybody else. In my opinion, the struggle that we go through it's tenfold. We already have to practice. You have to do that automatically if you're going to be a classical musician. You have to work really hard. But as Black classical musicians, we've got to work 4, 5, 6 times as hard just to get the same type of recognition. And I've never really understood why that is, why we are seen as less capable. That just has never registered to me as to why people have that perception. I am under the impression that maybe it's because they think we're kind of a fluke. This isn't, well, you're doing this, but it's not really for you. And so we'll give you a pat on the back and let you try this, but you're doing it. We're just letting you do this. And it's not because you're totally capable, but we'll give you a shot, and we'll fill our quota for today. And we'll say, okay, well, we met our diversity quota, and yes, we let somebody do that, but they can't really do this. This isn't really for you guys. And that attitude, I think, is what has discouraged a lot of people from pursuing their loves, not only in classical music, but in a lot of aspects. People just don't see us as capable for some reason.
Inferior.
Oh yeah. Not sure why. I'm not really sure. Is it the way I speak? Is it the way I dress? I don't know. You haven't heard me play.
Yeah, you haven't even heard me play, but
right.
I'm already deemed inferior. Shifting gears just a little bit, in diversity or the lack thereof in classical music, what are some ways that we can increase diversity in classical music, whether it's in the audience or on the stage with musicians in the orchestra, soloists like Ray, who is the protagonist in The Violin Conspiracy, or on the educational level? What are some ways that we can increase diversity in classical music?
That's a fantastic question. I like to think that diversity can be increased by exposure. I think it starts with exposure being very young. Instead of we're going to take the kids one time to go see a symphony. One time they say, okay, we took the kids and they went to, the Detroit Symphony. That was great. We checked that box off and now we're good. No, we need to do this regularly. We need to play this music regularly. When you're doing a unit on composers, you need to let them understand that, well, this was Beethoven, this is what he looked like. There are people that look just like you that do the exact same thing just as well. I just, off the top of my head, Florence Price and William Grant Still, these are people that look exactly like you that are doing the same thing that Beethoven and Mozart and Brahms are doing, and it's just as good. And I really think it's a matter of exposure. Let's get a violin into the kids in the inner city, or let's get a cello into somebody's hands who never would have seen one before. It's not just about drums. We can't just go to Home Depot and get a bucket and say, okay, now you can do a rhythm training. Give you a classical instrument, give you a flute, give you an oboe. We are capable of so much more. And for me, it's one of those things where it's like, don't steer me away from it because you don't think I'm going to be good at it. It's not fair to the kids. They deserve every opportunity that everyone else does.
Creating equal access and opportunity for children through education, having access to quality instruments.
Absolutely.
Educators.
100%.
Who understand.
Like yourself.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Who can connect with the children and having the consistent access to professional orchestras and classical music in general. I think one thing I think we could touch on also is perhaps the price point at which people are able to afford tickets or not afford tickets to attend classical concerts.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And one thing that I actually was in discussion with another friend of mine the other day, let's say the Detroit Symphony, I don't know the name of the hall that the Detroit Symphony plays in. Orchestra Hall. There you go. Instead of doing all of your concerts at Orchestra Hall, and instead of spending $80 million on a renovation, why don't you play at 30 different spots in the city? Go to the urban areas, go to the schools, go to the churches, go all around the city. It's not Orchestra Hall's orchestra, it's the Detroit Symphony. Go and expose the entire city. Everyone deserves a chance to hear this great music. Exposure
is incredibly important. I must say that our Detroit Symphony Orchestra, they have tons of community concerts where they actually do go into schools and into churches, into parks, and make classical music accessible in that format. So I can proudly say that about
that is fantastic.
Our Detroit Symphony Orchestra. Let's get back to the book. Oh my gosh, Brendan, I see that we could go and talk for quite some time about.
We probably will end up doing that offline.
I think we will. Brendan, for those listening, and we're talking about the book, The Violin Conspiracy, that follows the story of Ray and the Stradivarius violin that is stolen right before the Tchaikovsky competition. He's applied and he's going to compete, but this Stradivarius is stolen. And there's a lot of conflict in this book. I don't want to give it away because I want people to get the book and read it. There's like a 2-for-1 in this book. Not only is there the book that's following Ray, you curated a playlist to go along with the book. Talk about that playlist.
Well, the playlist is basically everything, all the music that Ray is exposed to in the story. Ray is he is a violinist, and he loves his violin. He loves classical music, and for the first time, he gets to play the type of music that he loves, and it opens doors and it just opens his eyes to what all is out there. And with this playlist, I wanted people to just get a sense of what it was that Ray was experiencing not only when he hears this music, but when he performs this music. I tried to choose the best recordings that I could of a lot of these pieces because, a lot of them spoke to me as well. For some of these pieces, they're pieces that I played for the first time. And when I first heard it, I tried to imitate my feelings as I was writing in with Ray. And one piece in particular, the Fête Polonaise by Manuel Chabrier, just, I mean, I played that at a regional orchestra that I auditioned for, and Ray the same thing. And it was his favorite piece, and he played every single note. And just hearing that piece, the first time I'd ever heard that, I think that was the first piece of French music that I'd ever heard. And I mean, it blew my mind. I was like, why is this so good? And if this is the feeling that I'm getting hearing this for the first time, I don't want to deny anyone that feeling. So let me put it on a list. Let people discover it. Some of these pieces people have never heard of. I don't know, classical music aficionados. Oh, this is this. I guarantee you there are pieces on that playlist that people have never heard. And I also wanted to pay homage to just what you like I put some hip hop on there as well, because hey, Ray's a typical young person. Hip hop is good stuff, and that's what he listens to as well. And the juxtaposition between hip hop and classical music, it's all music. And I just really wanted people to understand this music can be for everyone. It's not just for an elitist group of people, it's for everybody. So I hope people check out the playlist and they enjoy it.
I think they definitely will. From Mozart to Tchaikovsky, William Grant Still, the Beastie Boys, he has the playlist covered. So you might find yourself torn between listening to the music and reading the book. And I think if you listen to the music as you read the book, it will connect you to some of the pieces that Ray is playing in the book. Brendan, I have to say that I can hear your passion about the music, and the passion comes through in your character, Ray, in the book, his love for music. I definitely see it in you as the violinist and the author. It comes through quite clearly. A question for you personally. You are a violinist,
mm-hmm.
an educator,
mm-hmm.
and an author.
Mm-hmm.
How do you successfully balance pursuing all of these passions?
When I figure it out, I will let you know. No, it's well, my first love is music. And I know this is going to sound very pretentious, and I apologize in advance. I'm a good teacher. I love teaching. I absolutely love it. And that is my first love. So because of the success that the book is experiencing right now, I've had to put my teaching schedule on hold. As I was writing, I can block out a certain amount of time. I write in the morning and I teach all of my lessons in the afternoon. Then I go to symphony rehearsal in the evening, and that totally works. But with everything that's going on now, I'm traveling a lot and doing a lot of interviews. I've had to let something go, and it's got to be the teaching right now. Right now, it's the teaching. But normally I just block out, it's just like practicing. When you practice, you block out a specific amount of time to practice, and you stick to it. And that's what you do. It's usually about 3 hours that I do for writing. And I do my 3 hours, and then I go and teach. And then after that, it's either take a nap or go to symphony. But it is a challenge. It really is. And I'm not putting anything on hold permanently. Like my students, I told them, yeah, I'm not going to be able to make your lessons for the month of February. It's just too much going on. And I got to say, I'm so proud of them. I've gotten 2 videos that they really wanted to show me that they are still working. They're working on stuff. And I've got a kid playing Fur Elise right now on piano. And he got the first system down with me in lessons, and no kidding, he's literally got half the piece done now by himself. He wanted to show me that he was going to keep doing his work, and I'm very, very proud of them.
Ray's students, he will be back.
Ray's too.
My head is in the book. Brendan students, he will be back. But know that you have a good teacher. You're an excellent teacher, because anytime the teacher steps away and the students take it upon themselves to practice, that speaks volumes about you as an educator and what you're instilling in the children, and how much they respect you and love you so much that, sometimes when the teacher is gone, it's like when the cat's away, the mice will play. But when there's a good cat, then the mice don't stray or play. They stay focused, and the students are definitely focused, and that speaks, like I said, highly to you as an educator.
Thank you.
Speaking of that educator hat, which I know you have to take off for now, as you and I know it probably pains you to do that. What advice do you have for young students, African American students who are looking to pursue a career as a solo violinist?
Fantastic question. The best piece of advice I could give would be to stick to it, work, work, work. We already have to work twice as hard. Put in the time, put in more time. You think you've put enough time in, put even more time in. Stay true to who you are. If you love it, you're going to do it. And if you do it, you're going to do it well. Make sure that you do it well. The only way to do that is to put in the work. Don't let people discourage you. Don't let people tell you you can't do it. Don't let people tell you you shouldn't be doing it. You should try something else. Don't let them do it. Stay true to who you are, and it will pay off. It absolutely will pay off. Do the work.
That's excellent advice, not just for students, not for the young people, but anybody tuning in to this interview right now. If you're just now popping into the conversation, curated by Source Booksellers in Detroit, I am talking to author Brendan Slocum, who penned this book, The Violin Conspiracy. It is gripping and compelling, and you will not want to put it down. I know that we have a Q&A coming up, so let me wrap this up with this final question. What is it that you hope people will take away from reading your book, The Violin Conspiracy?
You have just thrown some fantastic questions at me, and thank you for doing that. I would really like for people to know that music is for everyone. It's for absolutely everyone. It's not just for someone in a specific zip code. It's not for someone with a specific bank account total. You know, it is for everybody. And I want people to understand that there are different perspectives and perceptions of everything. And just because your perception of something is different than mine, that doesn't make it wrong. It's totally okay that I feel differently about this piece of music than you do. It's okay that I feel differently about wanting to learn about this music or this instrument than you do. It's okay. It's for everyone. Music is the only language in the world where you can go across the continent and not know a single word of what it is that someone is trying to. You couldn't understand a single word, but you could play something and you can be right there with them. They'll totally get it. Music is the only thing that does that, and it's for everyone. And I hope that everyone has the opportunity to pursue what it is that they love because they love it, not because someone tells them that they should be doing something else.
Music, our universal language that connects all of us, no matter what we speak, we're able to feel it in our hearts. And Brendan, you are breaking down barriers, not just in classical music, but in all music, letting people know music is for everybody and everyone should have access to any music that they want to pursue, want to study, want to enjoy as an
Absolutely.
audience member, as a patron, as a student, as a solo artist, creating equality and access and bringing people together. The more that we can bring people together and use music as that vehicle to do so, I think the better off humankind definitely will be.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, the book is called The Violin Conspiracy. It is authored by Mr. Brendan Slocum. And I want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me this evening and spend time with Source Booksellers. I think we're going to jump into the Q&A part, but Brendan, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you.
The pleasure is all mine. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Let's see, let's jump into these. Oh, Allison, you're back. The questions and the book.
Well, we're finding them in the chat.
Yes, chat. Let's see here.
So How can students acquire instruments? Cecilia, you may know that.
How can students actually, in Detroit, there is a program, and I'm talking off of the top of my head, and Damian Crutcher music program. I had to think about that. He started a program in conjunction with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra that is working to get music or instruments in the hands of students in the city and around Michigan. So I definitely know that is one way. People are always looking to donate instruments. People, if you have an instrument that it's been in your closet since 1988 and you haven't touched it since 1988, if it hasn't dry rotted, take it out. Donate those instruments to schools or to your local music program so that they can get into the hands of students. I know that when I was running Urban Strings, people donated instruments, and also just partnering with your local music store. Let them know, educators, let them know that you're there. They're normally willing to work with you and donate instruments or provide instruments at a discounted rate so that students can continue to have access to them and can learn.
Absolutely.
And just around the corner from our bookstore, Third Wave Music has instruments there. This question, I think, is just talking about the Sphinx competition. So maybe you can say a little bit about that. It says the Sphinx competition in Detroit is a way for people to know about Black and Brown musicians.
Absolutely. The Sphinx organization just celebrated 25 years of existence. I would say the organization is a catalyst for increasing diversity in classical music amongst African American and Latino musicians, increasing that 1% and pushing the dial. I think we might maybe be at 4% now since the 25 years, but there's still a ways to go. They have a huge platform, not just with the Sphinx competition, and that's what they're definitely known for, but many educational programs in the city and across the United States, as well as leadership platforms. And of course, their Sphinx Connect program, where people from different walks of music, whether it's music publishing or composing, can convene and have conversations on diversity in those particular categories.
All right. Hi, all. This is from Andrew. Thanks so much for this conversation. It's been wonderful, and I can't wait to read the book. For both Brendan and Cecilia, is there a particular composer, musician / ensemble that you're currently excited about and wished more people knew about?
I will just say, for me, I am prone to, I gravitate towards William Grant Still. People primarily know him for his first symphony. It's called the Afro-American Symphony. But what a lot of people are unaware of is that he wrote so much chamber music, so much small ensemble music. He's got some quartets, some quintets that is, I mean, just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and really technically challenging as well. His suite for violin and piano is one of my most favorite pieces on the planet. I tell you, when I tell you, it's amazing to listen to, and you really feel like you're an accomplished musician once you've learned how to play it. So check that out. Check out his suite. I'm gonna say this right. In Nanga, I'm saying it wrong. It's African harp suite. Violin, 2 violins, viola, cello, harp, and piano. Beautiful piece of music. Look at William Grant Still's music.
Cecilia?
I was like, are we going to go? Okay. Florence Price, the first African-American female to have her symphony performed by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra at the World's Fair. I would say check out Florence Price. There's so much music to be discovered or listened to and learned about, that was composed by Florence Price, an African American and female. So that's someone when I produce my show, I try to shed light on her music amongst many other artists.
Kevin Nixon, any advice for young classical musicians, especially young classical musicians of color who are searching for work after they have completed training?
Oh, wow. It's a good question.
That is.
I would say take every single gig, take every opportunity that you have, even if it only pays $20. It's the exposure. You get your name out there, you get your talent out there, you let people understand not only are you willing to play, but you're capable of playing. The gigs are not going to come to you. You got to go out and look for them, and you've put the work in. Now go and show everybody what you can do. Take every gig.
What kind of violin do you have, Brendan?
Someone else. See that?
Someone else.
I mean, looking at this question, what kind of violin do I have, and do I have more than one? Yes, I do have more than one. I actually have two. I have a 97 Rinaldi, which is whenever I do solos, I like to play on that because it is loud. It is a soloist's instrument. I'm losing some hearing in my left ear because it's that loud. I've been playing on that one for a long time for solos, and I've recently acquired within the last 5 years, having it appraised. We can't figure out yet. I've got to send it off to Paris to get the official paperwork done on it. And I'm not trying to send my violin to Paris yet, but it's a 1750 French made something. So it's actually older than Mozart, and I love it. And it's got the sweetest sound you've ever heard. When I make it to Paris, I'll make sure I take it with me to get it all official, and they can tell me who the exact maker was.
That's awesome.
What do you play on, Cecilia?
I play on my cello that I've had forever and ever and ever. And I kind of took a small break since changing career gear, so I haven't been playing as much. Mine is from Wilson's Fine Violins right here in Michigan.
All right, all right.
Awesome. Cecilia, do you have another question or anything that you want to, that you didn't get to?
Let's see here. As I have my question list. Oh, I don't know if you can talk about anything that's coming up, Brendan, but what's next for you?
Well, thank you for asking. I've actually got my second book. I just finished. The manuscript has been turned in, and I'm about to start working on revisions next week. So I get Sunday to take a short break before I start back with the revisions. And I'm really excited about this story because it encapsulates so many different things. The working title right now is The Composer's Last Score. It's a music themed book. It's about America's greatest composer. He's bigger than Beethoven. He's bigger than Mozart, bigger than Brahms. Everybody in the world knows this guy. And the 150th anniversary of his birth is coming up, and a major celebration is about to take place. But a musicologist and a computer linguist discover that he may not have written this music at all. He may be a fraud and a murderer. It seems like he may have appropriated this music from a Black woman who we know today would have been living with autism. And just to see how it all plays out, the characters are fantastic. I get to incorporate a person living with autism in the story, and it's a great story. You're gonna absolutely love it.
Wow, we cannot wait for this next book. We have a book right here, The Violin Conspiracy, to keep us company until the next book comes out. And it's incredible that you include everyone and shed light on lots on people of all walks of life. So I think that's incredible. That book is coming out. So that's what's coming up next from Brendan Slocum. But right now you have The Violin Conspiracy, and you need to pick that book up. I know that Allison and Source Booksellers is going to have a link where you can obtain that book. And of course, you can get it at Source Booksellers if you're in Detroit or in the Southeast Michigan area. The Violin Conspiracy. Our guest from Source Books with Source Booksellers is Mr. Brendan Sulkin. And that was my final question. I see the question down there. Are you familiar with the Kenna Mason family? Oh, I know you have to be. You have to be.
One of my goals is to actually meet the family in person. I've seen their videos, I've heard their music. They are phenomenal. Wow. I mean, my sister is a cellist, so I thought we had it going on, me and her playing duets and everything. Oh, no. Yeah, they got it going on. So that is the goal. I'm very, very impressed.
I agree. I'm right there with you. I want to interview. I have to interview someone.
Yeah.
From the family. They have the album that came out maybe last year, the Carnival Animal album, and the Redemption song that that's a beautiful piece. And actually, I believe that the pianist and the cellist, I think they have a duet album that, it came across my mailbox. They have a duet album that is coming out, I think, in February this month. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be picking that up.
Right. And I think my goal is to interview somebody from the Kenna Mason family.
Well, I'm definitely going to be tuned in for that interview.
Right. Look, me too.
Well, thank you both. Thank you, Brendan. Enjoy from your book birthday until the next month. Enjoy everything that's coming your way for this fantastic book.
Thank you so much.
We thank you very much. The book is available at Source Booksellers and Source Booksellers Online. And you can tune in to hear Live with C Sharp on 90.9.
Yes.
FM? Okay.
Yes, Sunday, January 20th, 90.9 WRCJ.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you. Wait, we're still here.
We're still here.